Joe Biden has displayed strong leadership throughout the Israel-Hamas war, but it hasn't translated into domestic support for the president. Humiliating polling numbers and familiar gaffes by Joe Biden are sending the Democrats into a tailspin in the lead-up to the 2024 election, with the president now trailing Donald Trump. Sky News All-Stars James Morrow, Storer and Megyn Kelly take a look at Joe Biden's pathetic polls. Joe Biden has impressed the world with his steadfast support of Israel since the inception of the war. However, as we all know, international success doesn't convert to votes in the US. The American people are far more concerned with Joe Biden's continued gaffes and weak domestic performance, which is translating to poor polling numbers that have Democrats very worried. His latest gaffe at a Veterans Day service has everyone concerned about his cognitive abilities once again, says Sky News All-Star James McPherson.
Before we go, we've got to go to Joe Biden for a moment. He's suffered another embarrassing gaffe, this time appearing to get lost while laying a wreath at a Veterans Day service. Evelyn, this is just getting sad now, isn't it?
And this followed arguably the greatest and most humiliating Halloween costume ever, with an American child dressed up as Joe Biden falling over, reveals Sky News All-Star James Morrow.
First, while Joe Biden may have had trouble managing to hand out candy to trick-or-treaters at the White House, it turns out that the U.S. president has also inspired some of the greatest costumes and routines in America as kids from coast to coast on Halloween competed to outdo themselves as the stumbling Joe Biden and his detail of aides and agents. Check out this Team Biden giving it a red-hot go on the trick-or-treat trail.
Mr. President, please. One step, Mr. President. Yes, good job. Yes, right here. No, this way.
Joe Biden also made one of his trademark strange remarks during a recent speech.
But first, do you ever get the feeling you're being watched? I do right now because, well, I'm on your TV. But what about other people, like folks who lived along the train line when Joe Biden was commuting by Amtrak?
These are jobs for folks I thought about as I take that train home. You know the park guys, you get outside of Baltimore, just before you get into Baltimore, you can look out the window and you're going through basically the neighborhood. And I always used to sit there, coming home, and look out and see people sitting at the kitchen tables. Literally, you could see them right along the track. And wondering, what are they thinking about? What's on their minds?
What are they thinking? Hey, Mabel, there's some creepy guy staring in our kitchen window.
And it seems these constant gaffes have affected Joe Biden's popular vote.
The issue is what President Biden does with that, because the same voters who often voted for Democrats tell people in the poll that you just cited they don't want Biden. 71% of voters in that poll said Biden is too old to be president. 62% said he was not mentally alert. And 51% of Democrats agreed with that. A majority of Democrats do not believe he should be their nominee or their president.
Sky News All-Star Megyn Kelly agreed, saying with the latest poll numbers, Donald Trump would win in a landslide.
You only need 270 to win. It would be an absolute landslide. And all those states, the 5 of the 6 critical swing states, Joe Biden won in 2020. So this is a complete swing the other way towards Trump, where now he's beating Biden by up to 10 points, 6 points, 5 points, 4 points in these states that Biden won just a few years ago. The enormous swing in Trump's favor is undeniable, and Democrats should be deeply concerned. This is as close to a 5-alarm fire as you can get in electoral politics,
And strategist John Zogby has revealed Joe Biden's involvement in the Israel-Hamas war has been detrimental to his presidential campaign.
Is the war in the Middle East affecting the poll numbers? I mean, is Biden going to get a bump at all for looking presidential and standing by Israel, or is he getting hit for the chaos that's occurring on his watch?
He's getting hit. He's getting hit actually from both sides. And the numbers are showing it, because his numbers actually are going down. His average approval rating this week, incidentally, is 38.5%. But he is losing the left in his party. Remember that clear Obama base. He is bleeding among liberals and progressives, among younger voters, and among black voters as well. That's one piece of it. On the other hand, he is bleeding as well among independents and those who have an expectation, of normalcy. The Biden presidency is not leading to normalcy, and a potential U.S. involvement in a Middle East war is not resting well with folks.
The president of the Center of the American Experiment, John Hinderer, says the Democrats have a huge problem on their hands with Joe Biden so intent on running again.
Andrew, I've been saying for quite a long time that Joe Biden will not be the Democratic nominee, and I still believe that that is true. They have a terrible, terrible problem, how to get rid of Joe Biden and also how to get rid of Kamala Harris, who is just as unpopular as Biden, if not more so. And, the polling that is being done recently, Andrew, you see a lot of the comparison Trump versus Biden. But what hasn't been so much publicized is polling Biden versus a generic Republican, or Biden versus DeSantis, or Biden versus Haley. Biden is crushed in swing states by the generic Republican, and he's losing badly to Haley and to DeSantis. I think that one way or another, the Democrats are going to find a way to get Joe Biden out of that race and substitute somebody else. And then the big question is who? People talk about Gavin Newsom. He's got a terrible record as governor of California. I don't know. We'll see.
And even Obama's top campaigner says time is up for Joe Biden.
Anyway, the numbers are absolutely devastating, to the point where David Axelrod, the guy who got Barack Obama elected twice, came out explicitly in writing on X talking about how it is time for Joe Biden to step aside. He's got to do the soul searching. He has to have private conversations in the residence of the White House with Jill Biden and talk about whether he is doing this for his ego or for the country, because he doesn't want his legacy to be handing the White House back to Donald Trump.
And then there's the issue of Kamala Harris. The Democrats are in a tailspin because, as unpopular as Joe Biden is, Kamala Harris is even less palatable.
Well, I think it's pretty clear that if Joe Biden had not picked Kamala Harris as his vice president, the talk about removing Biden wouldn't be talk. He would have already been removed. A delegation would have gone up to the White House and said, here's your gold watch, time to go home. But Kamala Harris fares even worse against Republicans if she's the Democratic nominee in polls. Therefore, the Democrats have a problem. What is it in The Sound of Music? There's a song saying, what do you do about a problem called Maria? What do you do about a problem called Kamala? And if they can find a way to ease her out, or think they can beat her in the primaries, or have the delegates override her candidacy at the convention, they'll do it. I believe the Democrats will not go to someone like Governor Gavin Newsom, a boring white male. They'll probably go to someone, if they don't have Kamala, that will placate some of the constituencies in their party. Remember, 63% of Democrats who vote in primaries are either women or minorities. Therefore, I think Governor Gretchen Whitmer is probably the sweet spot. She's from a swing state, Michigan. She's been elected twice. She's a woman, and she's very combative, and certainly not old.
Even the ABC in America is now openly discussing who will replace Joe Biden.
I can get excited about, though, is that Biden is trailing Trump in the exact same competition in terms of popularity. Now, they're just a year out from the election over there, and the latest survey shows he's trailing by between 4 and 10 percentage points amongst voters in decider states. These are the states that helped Biden win last time: Nevada, Georgia, Arizona, Michigan, Pennsylvania. Woohoo, it's heating up absolutely big time. And here they are on the ABC. This is how bad the polling's going. This is the ABC in America, not our ABC. Dream on. In the ABC in America, now just openly discussing who'll replace Biden.
This is probably going to lead to a lot of Democrats increasing the chatter that Joe Biden should step aside and make room for another Democrat.
And I think the problem that Democrats have is they don't know who that Democrat would be right now. I don't think that people look at Kamala Harris and feel like she is ready to take that step forward. They look across the rest of the party, governors, senators, mayors, House members, and they're struggling to figure out who they could put up.
And it seems the Democrats should be worried as Donald Trump keeps coming back stronger, no matter what they throw at him, according to Sky News All-Star Megyn Kelly.
Because for 8 years now, we've had the, if it could just, then Trump would, if he would just, then Trump would definitely, and he never does go away, right? So like, don't put a lot of stock in that. And secondly, what we're seeing in these polls is the more they throw at him, the stronger he gets. So I'm actually not even sure that, whereas normally they wouldn't vote against a convicted felon, that rule is going to apply necessarily if it actually happens to Trump.